Welcome to the Mostly All Figured Out podcast with your host, Emily Rose. Regardless of the career field, the lifestyle, everyone is mostly figuring it all out. This podcast is where we pull back the veil of perfection and share true stories, experiences, encouragement, and of course failures, detailing how people just like you are making it all happen, despite the uncertainty, the fear, the imposter syndrome, the setbacks, the shame, whatever it is. If you believe there is more for you than what your life looks like right now, you're in the right place. Let's figure out our next steps together. Now let's get into the episode.
Okay, here we go. Welcome to the Mostly All Figured Out podcast. I'm your host, Emily Rose. This is our friend.
Chris Flynn, owner of Bflo Pizza Bistro.
And that's where we are today. This is so exciting. So this is actually appropriate that we're using the Free Street mic. Thank you, Free Street Tavern. We love you. Not our only sponsor. We have two sponsors. Casa Pizza. Is that like
Pizza.
Is that your competition?
No, they do Buffalo style pizza. We do something totally different. We just do deep dish, 8x10, Detroit Sicilian style. So Casa de Pizza is our friend.
Okay. We love Shooky. Everybody loves Shooky. I don't know how to use his audio board, though, so I have to figure that out, and then I'll really be able to call them a sponsor. But I'm doing it anyway. So we love Free Street. We love Casa. We love Bflo Pizza Bistro, and that's where we are today. So you actually started off on where I wanted to first go with this. So here, well, I want to go a lot of places. Everyone bear with me. She's still got undiagnosed ADHD. So you have deep dish style pizza, which I think there's not a ton of places that do that here, right?
No, there's like a handful of spots. I know Jay's Artisan does a deep dish. There's a Buffalo deep dish who does it out of Buffalo Brewing down in South Buffalo. And then Jet's Pizza, who's like the chain. But they're actually not that bad.
Are you serious?
I think out of all the pizza chains, Jet's is probably the best one. Not that I'm promoting any chains, but just because there's so many options in the city for pizza, I highly suggest never to go to a chain pizzeria in this city.
Correct. Agreed. So when did you open here? So this place used to be Cafe Godot. Godot. It's fine.
Everybody pronounces it differently.
Okay, Godot, because it's French, right?
Yes.
Okay, it was French.
But if you want to do the Buffalo accent, it's Godot.
Godot, right. So you moved, so that's what it was before, but you moved in here when, and when did you open up?
Well, should I start from the beginning?
Yeah.
Of the whole story?
Take us on the journey.
Okay, so March 2020, there was a shutdown. No, I'll skip ahead a little bit. So the world shut down for a couple of years. Everybody was inside bored, making their sourdough breads and taking up different hobbies. Couldn't find yeast anywhere. I decided that I want to start experimenting with pizza dough and, bought a billion cookbooks off Amazon. Had a home oven with a pizza stone in it. That's all I had. So just started making pizzas out of my apartment on Bryant Street.
Time out. Okay. So why pizza? Like, you could have chosen so many things, but you were like, not only were you like, I want to figure out pizza, you were like, I'm going to figure out pizza. So what was it that was like, I'm about to order all these cookbooks and like really do this thing?
It was more like there's like a science behind it, and it like really intrigued me how to do like what different flours will do, different hydrations. And then, no, I think I dropped out of chemistry in high school. No, I haven't done any science since 10th grade, so 2001.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
So I just started. It just really intrigued me, like the whole process of doing pizza. I found a big following in Chris Bianco and his story. So he was this chef who grew up in Brooklyn, started making pizza at an Italian grocery store, and then eventually moved out to Arizona and opened up a Neapolitan pizza shop. And then it was voted best pizza in the U.S. 11 years in a row.
Wow.
So we actually went there a couple weeks ago when we went to the Pizza Expo, so it was very cool.
Was it good?
It's pretty legit.
Wow.
So his whole story was very intriguing, and I was like, if, I don't want to say if he could do it, I could do it, but he was like an inspiration.
All right. Let's pause on that for a second. I think that I love that you just pointed that out, because I think I would call that, I'm learning about, stay with me, I'm learning about the science behind manifesting and getting the things that you want, living the life that you want. And one of the things that I have learned, they call expanders. And so when you see someone who is doing something or has something that you want and you can relate to that person, they become an expander in your life. And that's exactly what happened to you. So you saw this person, you're like, well, they did it, so I could try it. And that's how, for me, with this podcast, I have this podcaster that I listen to and I love, and she's great. She's a single mom. She's in England. She mostly talks about manifesting and law of attraction, but also like personal development stuff, which is very my vibe. But she found a way in the pandemic to start her podcast, and it's been wildly successful. And she's just like true and authentic to herself in the podcast too. And I was like, well, I'm kind of fun too. So like maybe people would listen to me. I don't know. So, yeah. and I love, and well, yeah. So that's where my expander was for starting this podcast, but that's really cool that happened. So did you just find him on Instagram, or how'd you find him?
He's got kind of an Instagram following, but it was more of the Chef's Table Netflix series that came out. They did like a whole hour special on him. I became like obsessed with that series, so I watched it like 100 times already. So yeah, he was an inspiration. And then I eventually created an Instagram page because I loved cooking and I just loved posting pictures of my food, which I know that a lot of people don't like, and they're just like, why are you clouding up my whole feed with all your dinners every night? And I'm like, well, that's what I did. So I made a Instagram page strictly for my cooking. I grew up cooking with my mom, and I worked at various restaurants throughout high school and college, and so I'm not like completely unfamiliar with the kitchen.
Okay, back to me. So you grew up cooking with your mom, you said. Do you have we didn't get to talk about your family very much. So are you from Buffalo?
I am, North Buffalo.
Ooh, me too. North Buffalo kids. Where in North Buffalo?
I grew up on Russell, right down the street from Parkside Meadow and the zoo.
Yeah. Okay. I grew up on Sterling. Okay. That's cool. So when you say that you grew up cooking with your mom, was that like in a restaurant setting? Was it just at home? Like she always just had you around helping? What was that like?
Yeah, always helping. My brother and I would just help. My parents got divorced when I was 5, so it was just her for the most part during my childhood. So we would just take turns, my brother and I, cooking every night and helping her out. So a wide array of different foods. So she does Thai food and Mexican and Asian cuisine. And so across the board, just learned a whole bunch of different methods and various backgrounds of food.
That is super cool. I feel like it's so rare now to see young kids especially cooking. And I have an 8-year-old and a 3-year-old. My 8-year-old really doesn't have much interest in cooking unless it's like putting frosting on a cake or something. My 3-year-old, however, loves it. So I've got him like little knives, and he like helps me chop stuff. Yeah, I know you hate kids. We already talked about this, so don't bring your children here. Just kidding. Just kidding. Sorry. But unless like it's really, I see it more often in cultural situations where it's like really a part of the culture and passing on family recipes and things like that. Was it stuff like that with your mom, or was it just like she just number one wanted help as a single parent, like doing the things you guys can help cook too, or did she just feel it was important that you had that skill?
I think she just thought it was important that we had that skill, and we didn't really use any recipes or anything. It was just winging it most of the time and just kind of coming up with stuff. So, yeah, that's kind of where I just got a lot of my creativity. Yeah. She's an art therapist, too, so she's got a whole creative background.
So it was you and you said you have a brother? Okay. Older or younger? Younger. Okay, so you're the oldest.
He is not good in the kitchen.
He's not good in the kitchen, you said. I also just think it's interesting. I should do a tally because I usually do ask where everyone fell in the line of their siblings. And I want to say it's like 80% of the people I've had on have been the oldest child. And I'm also the oldest. So do you like identify with oldest child stereotypes?
Being the most successful? Yes. I mean, master's degree, own a restaurant. So, yeah. Higher education.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, doing a ton with it. Sorry. But I'm thinking about hanging the master's degree up in this restaurant, just kind of like as a doctor would, just to show my credentials. Be like, this is how far a Buff State degree will take you. Pizza.
I think you've done well for yourself. Higher education, not just like education. So you wanted to work in a college?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Really.
I mean, they're not doing great right now.
No.
So, yeah, I think you're doing all right. So, okay, so you learned cooking when you were younger. You worked in a bunch of different restaurants, all local? Wellington Pub. I was just there the other day. Burgers are so good there. Yeah. Best burgers in town.
10 years, 2003 to like 2012, 13.
Wow, we must have crossed paths. Probably. Where'd you go to high school?
Ken West.
Okay, I went to Holy Angels. R.I.P. Back to more of the present, like the last couple years. So you were really inspired by this chef whose name I keep forgetting, but I'm sure he's a really important person. I'm really sorry. Chris Bianco.
We share the same first name.
You sure do. Yeah. So there you go. So you're seeing him. You want to figure out pizzas during the pandemic. You started making this account, sharing foods that you were making. What happens next?
So what happened next is I got really intrigued with like Neapolitan style pizzas, and the big thing that was coming out were these at-home pizza ovens that you could use outside. So I dropped $500 to buy one of those Uni pizza ovens. So started playing around with that, burned about 3,000 pizzas out on my porch because that thing it takes a lot of practice to try to, you burn a lot of pizzas starting off. So I started making pizzas in the Uni, started posting them. My next door neighbor, she's one of the best wedding photographers in Western New York, Riley Photography. So she lived next door to me, and she was like, oh my God, you should start selling them out of your apartment. I'll buy one. So I became friends with a lot of the different foodies in Buffalo. They're actually up on the wall right there.
The foodies.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So they're like, yes, you got to start selling them out of your apartment. Like, we'll buy some and just post them. And they have a pretty good following. So I started making pizzas on my top porch in Elmwood Village and went to Gordon's Restaurant Depot and started buying boxes and made a logo on Canva in about 5 minutes. Yeah. And, just selling like 10 to 20 pizzas out of my apartment on a weekend.
Wow. That's so cool. So we met at Free Street Tavern. Free Street. And I was there with our friend Tanner. Mm-hmm. You had brought some pizza for Josh. He didn't share it with me, asshole. And what did they were telling me about Bflo Pizza Bistro, and I did say to you,
what gives you the
audacity? What gives you the audacity to start a pizza place? Which I realize now my delivery was not great. Yeah, but
it had a little negative connotation attached to it, but I got what you were trying to convey.
Yes, let me defend myself. So it was not very couth, but I wasn't trying to come across as like, how dare you? It was more so, it's so interesting to me why some people like you, like myself, like other small business owners that we know, will take the leap and do the thing, and other people will think about doing the thing for a long time and never do it. So like I'm always interested in like, what was that thing? Like, was there a moment, or was it an ongoing thing? Like, what was it for you that made you say like, okay, I'm selling, a bunch of pizzas a weekend. They're really good. People like them. I've got this like support from this community that I'm in. I feel like I should have a place now. What was like, was there a switch, or what was it like for you?
Well, I spent about 15 years in the corporate world and doing stuff I hated. And like every day I would dread getting up in the morning and just logging into my laptop and sitting there for 8 straight hours. And I felt like I was just like wasting away. I'm like, what am I contributing to this world besides like making like hardly any money? You hit like a point and you're like, I got to do something. And my wife and I don't have kids. So it's like, we don't really like, why don't we just go for it and see what happens? Like, the worst that can happen is it doesn't work out, but at least we can say we tried.
Totally. So let's again circle back to the original question. So at what point did you get this place and did you open?
Well, to kind of backtrack, my friends and I started a 501c3 nonprofit called Bflo Groundhog Day back in 2013. So we did it at Flying Bison for 11 straight years. Roy Backus, who at the time was the manager of Bflo Distilling Company next door. So he got involved with our event and would provide liquor and kind of would be the host of our after party every year. So then he left Bflo Distilling and opened up Cafe Godot. And so I knew him from before he opened up the cafe. And I would come in here and keep a good relationship with him. I got to know Kevin, who was his business partner for Cafe Godot. So I got to know them pretty well. So when I heard that they were closing, I reached out and I go, hey, I know that you guys are closing. I'm interested in possibly opening up my own place because I was doing a pop-up at the Broadway Market for Easter last year. I got in because my friend was the social media manager for Broadway Market, and he was like, your pizzas will probably sell down there, and I did really well there, but it's really tough to sell at the Broadway Market when it's not Easter time because it's just a ghost town there, unfortunately. So then, I reached out to Roy. He goes, oh, somebody already took the spot because I think Tipico jumped on this place first. But then they backed out. So then he goes, it's available. And so I just told my wife, I go, I can't do my current job anymore. Like, I'm just so fried. I had a boss who was like 10 years younger than me. I was just like, I'm going nowhere in this job. So why don't we just take the leap? I have full faith that this is going to work. Cool. And we didn't have one person that said this is a bad idea. That's great. Besides my dad, who goes, what the hell are you thinking? But besides that, everybody was, yeah, thanks, Dad. You're in here like 3 times a week now. So, yeah, we had the support of a lot of people, and they're like, you're not going to fail. So your stuff is good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is super cool. I love that. I love that you took the leap. I can't wait to try a pizza. I'm not leaving here until I get one of those mushroom ones. Excellent. Yes. Great. Okay, good. Good. Glad we're on the same page. But let's talk about Bflo Groundhog Day for a minute because I'm super interested in this. So I'll be honest with you. I don't know a whole lot about it. I know that Tanner loves it. He talks about it every year.
He's our number 1 fan.
He's a number 1 fan. I believe it. But I didn't realize that it was a nonprofit. So like explain this. What is the premise of this? Where, if it's a nonprofit, like what is it for? Give us the details.
So back in 2012, my friends and I took a trip down to Punxsutawney just because we wanted to see Groundhog Day, what it was all about. Punxsutawney Phil, our enemy.
Enemy?
Well, we have a little rival going. So we left Coulter Bay in the middle of the night during a blizzard, drove to Punxsutawney, got there. It was 100,000 people.
Wait, so was it that spontaneous? Were you guys just like all at Coulter Bay and then we're like, You know what? Let's just fucking do it.
They're like, let's meet back. Yeah, they're like, we were having some beers after work, and they're like, let's meet back here at like 10 o'clock tonight, and we'll drive throughout the night to Punxsutawney so we can be there at 6 a.m. for the unveiling or the weather prediction from Phil. Wow. So we get to Punxsutawney, and it's literally 100,000 people standing on a frozen hill. Wow. No beer tents, no food. It was very lame. So we go, let's turn around. Let's go back to Buffalo. Let's start a Groundhog Day in Buffalo. Started off very small. Had it at Culture Bay the first 2 years. Original Culture Bay, not new Culture Bay. Okay, yeah. So the OG Culture Bay. So, oh yeah, filthy, but great. It was our home. First year we had like 20 people there. We pulled our giant groundhog mascot rat thing out of a trunk of a car. Second year had 50 people. So we're like, maybe we can kind of expand this. So we knew Tim Herzog from Flying Bison. Talked to him. He was like, I'm on board. Let's do it here. So we got a tent company. Booked a couple live bands. Got a food truck. So I think it was 2015, we had our first like big event at Flying Bison for Groundhog Day. And every year since then, besides COVID, we've been drawing like 500 to 800 people. I think the year before COVID, or the January before the world shut down, we had, I think, like close to 900 people at the event, which was pretty crazy. In the last couple of years, COVID kind of killed like big crowds, so we still got like 500 people this year.
I bet it comes back.
Yeah.
I bet it comes back. So you guys are just like, let's see, I love this. More people need to hear this and do things like this. Like, you just wanted to do it, so then you did it. Like, do you understand how wild that is for most people? It is crazy. Mm-hmm. So why did you decide to make it a 501c3?
Well, we didn't want this to like just be an event where people just come and get drunk. We wanted to like give back. So our friend who's an attorney set us up. He's actually in Groundhog Day. So he set us up with a 501c3, got us all registered with the city hall and whatever. And we became friends with Jared Miller, who is an animal expert who's been on Conan O'Brien and Jay Leno. And so I was actually out with him on Dingus Day.
How do you become like, give this back. How do you, sorry. How do you seem to be very good at networking because you are connected to a lot of people. Do you have a secret for how you do this?
Just throw some charm and be very nice, which I'm both of. Just kidding. No, I don't know. People just cross paths and, just connect with them. And Jared's become like one of our closest friends. Loves Groundhog Day. He was up at Hawk Creek Wildlife Refuge. So they are up by a little past East Aurora and West Falls, and they bring in a bunch of exotic animals and that have been injured and rehabilitate them to get them back in the wild. So we started donating to Buffalo Zoo, Buffalo Cares, and now the majority of our money goes to Hawk Creek to help those animals. So I think we've raised about $75,000 so far for animals in need.
That's awesome.
And we have our own groundhog now, like a real groundhog.
Okay, I was going to ask that.
Buffalo Bert.
Buffalo who?
Bert.
Bert.
Yeah. And he has a whole sanctuary up at Hawk Creek with our logo on it.
Oh my
so,
God.
Yeah,
That's so great.
He's a cute little guy.
That's amazing. So this event happens on Groundhog Day then? Yeah. It doesn't happen on Groundhog Day.
You get a lot of hate.
A lot of hate for choosing the day. So when's the next one? When can we come to the next one?
Buffalo Groundhog Day is always the last Saturday in January. So usually the following week, February 2nd, is officially Groundhog Day. But whenever we have our news articles that come out, and because we always have all the news stations cover us every year, the comments that people throw at us about not doing Buffalo Groundhog Day on official Groundhog Day is wild. People in the city get so triggered over the dumbest stuff. And we love it. We love the hate. We love the hate comments.
It's
It's probably one of our favorite parts of Groundhog Day is seeing the response from people that it's great.
That's hilarious. How dare you? How dare you do it on a different day? So, speaking of hate, have you, so I used to work for Yelp. And so,
Shout out Brandon Gallagher.
yeah, shout out Brandon. Did you do, oh, that's right. You did an event with them, didn't you? That's right. Okay. Next month. Excellent. We love it. Oh, good. We love it. So, have you experienced, not just on Yelp, but like Google or any of the things, have you experienced any like negative things? Okay, so you haven't. If you did, how would you respond to it? Or do you have any words of advice for other small business owners who might experience that?
I think the first thing you need to do if you get like any type of negative review or feedback, just take a step back. Don't jump on it with a defense, because you're probably going to write something that you're going to regret, and everything on the internet stays on the internet forever. So, I mean, luckily we have not run into any issues with this place yet. We have like 5 stars on Google, which has been great, and the community's been super supportive, which has been awesome. But I know that sometimes I react a little harsh, so I always learn to take a step back, see where they're coming from, and you just want to keep the business coming. You don't want to push anybody away.
I love that. I think that's really good advice. We would give that advice on Yelp to like maybe even give it a day, then come back. Always good to reply, because other people are looking at those negative replies and they can see how you respond. And when you respond in a calm manner, and even like, I know it can be annoying sometimes, especially when nothing was wrong, but even offering like, come back and we'll give you like, give us another chance and we'll do, we'll give you a free slice or something.
Somebody did start a Reddit page saying how they were confused because our logo on the side of the building, we have a giant mural of a pizza slice on the side of our building, but we do not serve slices here. So you can only get one type of pizza here, 8 by 10. That's it. No slices. I'm sorry. Just Pizza's down the street if you want a slice. So, but I think people have now realized that you can't get slices here because we hardly have people that come in anymore asking, which is good.
How have you like so far, and maybe a lot of it has been on Instagram over time, but how have you like generated brand awareness, and where would you say the bulk of your customers and marketing what marketing tactics have worked for you? Instagram.
I pretty much do all my marketing on social media. I started reaching out to other businesses to do collabs with them. So we just finished doing a collab with Mr. Sizzles last month, and that got us a lot of traction. People loved us. So I want to create relationships with the businesses in this area, because, the West Side's like so up and coming right now, and we have like Mr. Sizzles around the corner, and then Southern Junction, who just got nominated for a James Beard Award, which is wild. Shout out to Ryan Fernandez. So it's just been awesome to like network with all these businesses in the community and, supporting each other. So that's kind of one of my marketing tactics too, is just, bounce ideas off one another, creations, and repost each other's stuff. And so that's been working.
Yeah, I often will see like a meme or a thing go around on Instagram that says like, what's the best free way to support your friend who's a small business owner? Share their stuff, engage on their content. Like, it really does help. It's where it all comes from. But I do see that in the Buffalo small business community, that especially I think in the restaurant industry, everyone seems very willing to help each other out and support each other.
Even other pizzerias and people doing pizza pop-ups that when I started, we're all very supportive of one another. And so it's been nice to kind of fall into this like little pizza community within our community, because it's a pretty growing number of people that are getting interested in making pizza and different styles. And now Buffalo has like a whole bunch of different styles of pizza, not just like your standard Buffalo pizza that I grew up on. Which I don't hate, but it's a very heavy style, and So it's nice that we now have like Neapolitan styles and Detroit styles and Sicilian and Roman, and so it's been cool.
So what's your favorite, like, typical Buffalo style pizza? Where's your favorite place?
I think South Buffalo probably has the best pizza in the area. I grew up on Bob and John's, of course. Mr. Pizza's at our corner, so sometimes for convenience, we'll go to Mr. Pizza, and they're usually pretty consistent. But I gotta say, Carbone's is probably my number one.
Okay. I don't think I've tried that yet, so I'm gonna have to do that. For me, it would be Joey's Pizza in Depew. So freaking good. Like, that is quintessential Buffalo pizza to me. It's just like so doughy, you know? So good. It's so good. That's my grandparents lived in Depew, and you know, they had a pool in the backyard, and so I just like I have Joey's Pizza and I'm back in their backyard, like, you know, in my swimsuit, like ready to do a cannonball, you know. So I love it. You know, as you were talking about the community, the restaurant community, I just want to put it out there. I need to find the podcast community here in Buffalo. I know we have lots of podcasts. There's got to be one, right? So if you're listening or watching this and you know of like a podcast group or whatever, let me know, because I want to find these people. Help me out. Like, I want to find other people. I want to collaborate. Like, I want to find ways to collaborate with people. And obviously, like, in some ways, this is a collaboration, right? We are collaborating right now. And so, you know, what really helps me for sure is like when I'll post a couple reels from our conversation and then add you as a collaborator, and that helps me get seen a little bit more. But I have always struggled with social media and trying to like get more people. Like right now I'm still under 400 followers.
It's a total science. You got to beat the algorithm that's always changing. You got to find ways to connect. So what I do is every time I post like a picture of pizza, I tag every single company that I deal with. So Galbani Cheese and Bianco Tomatoes and Caputo Flour and Mike's Hot Honey. So then they'll start resharing my stuff. And you get seen by, you know, thousands and thousands of people because they have tons of followers. So if you're just like on their story, you're getting clicks. I don't think hashtags work as much anymore. So I avoid those now. But I think tagging and just getting people to share your stuff is probably the best way to grow.
Yeah, I have heard that about tagging. But I think I get caught up in like, oh, well, you know, like I'll see some people tag like Step Out Buffalo and like things like that. But I'm like, well, what if they see this and are like, who's this girl? You know? And so, exactly. You're right. I need to just do it. If they don't like the tag, they can just remove the tag. Exactly. So anyways, what advice would you give your younger self? Okay, let's say you're like just about to start college. So did you get your undergrad and master's at Buff State?
No, I went to
Oneonta for undergrad, and then Buff State. What would you give yourself, graduation day, Ken West, you're like, the world is my oyster, but your older self is like, no, it's your pizza, it's your pepperoni. What would you tell yourself at that age? And did you even need to hear anything at that age, or were you just like, here we go?
Well, I think for like any 18-year-old, like throwing them into college and being like, you got to choose what you want to do for the rest of your life for the next like 3 weeks. And you also have to take out $70,000 in loans. So figure it out. I probably wouldn't really change anything just because I made so many friends in college that, you know, I still talk to like multiple times a week. And I have friends all over the country now that I can go visit. And so in that aspect, I probably wouldn't change much. Maybe get involved in cooking a little younger so I could have honed my skills a little better. But, you know, we're still under 40 years old, so we're still young.
Yeah, still young.
I don't feel it today, but still young.
Tell me about a time that you failed and the result from it.
I would say probably second semester freshman year of college, I had like a 1.5 GPA because I just stopped going to classes and I just wanted to have fun and party and drink and do whatever 18-year-old that's away from home did. So, I had a lot of counselors saying, you got to figure it out or you're not coming back next year. So, I bounced back, started getting I think I ended up with like a 3.5 GPA after everything was said and done. But yeah, I would say, and of course, you fail all the time in the kitchen, but it's just got to keep pushing.
Last question I'll ask you before we get to the final question. You went to Vegas for a pizza convention. Yeah. So let's talk about that. First of all, that you had the audacity to go to a convention about pizza. Yeah. Second of all, it was in Vegas. So do you feel like, and closed for a week. So do you feel like, I love the idea of conventions. I haven't been to one since pre-pandemic. I went to an event planner one right when I had started my business. But I do love the idea of it, and I think the concept is great. I didn't do it successfully that first time. What was your reasoning for, did you find this convention, or did it find you?
Well, this is like the International Pizza Expo, so it's a pretty big deal every year. It's like everybody that's involved with pizza from around the world goes to this thing. It's in this convention center in Vegas is it's insane. It's like a airplane factory. It's huge. So, we're in the business now. You can only go if you're in the industry. So I was like, maybe we should just go check it out just once. I do have to admit we probably won't do it again just because unless we expand down the line, there really isn't a need for us to go every year. Just because we're such a small operation. But it was nice to go network with everybody. So we got to meet the representatives from Galbani and Bianco Tomatoes. So it was cool to meet people that, I talked to over over Instagram.
Yeah, that is cool. Okay, final question for you. It's your last day on Earth. Okay. You've had a very fulfilling life. All of your goals, your pizza dreams have been fulfilled. Super successful business, whatever that means to you. Had a great life with your wife. You lived it up. You can only leave behind 3 lessons that you learned in your time here. What are the 3 lessons that you would leave behind?
Well, do I know that it's my last day on Earth, or is it just going to come as a surprise and then all of a sudden, boom, I'm gone? Because that might change things. With 3 lessons, I say jump on opportunities when they arise. Don't sleep on them. Be nice to people. Make as many friends as you can. Network. But life lessons, that's really deep. Yeah. Can't really think of a third one. That's a put on the spot question.
Yeah, I know. You have time. Think about it.
I have 13 minutes until we open. What I would want my cats to know is that we love them dearly. And they will get food every morning at 9 o'clock.
What do you wish, a young person starting in this world would that you wish you would have known when you were younger?
Get outside and stop staring at screens all day long.
There you go.
There.
There you go.
Because that is so mind-numbing.
Yeah.
And going back to the corporate job, staring at a laptop all day is mind-numbing. Yeah. Going from waking up in the morning, staring at your phone, going onto a laptop, staring at a screen while going on your phone, and then going to a TV, and then going to your phone. It's most of your life is consumed by screens. So big life lesson, I would say, is to put the screens down and just go take a walk outside. Or cook something.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this today. I really appreciate you. I appreciate that you didn't write me off after I called you audacious.
Write people off. Just some kids that come in here and trash the place. But
I promise you I won't bring my 3-year-old anywhere near.
You can bring him in.
No, he's a nightmare. He'll be climbing on the walls. I promise. Yeah. No, you don't want that. But thank you so much for coming here today. Thank you for giving us your time, your experience, all of your thoughts, your life lessons that I am going to hold with me for the rest of my life. Good. So thank you for that.
Very valuable. Very valuable.
Very, very. Where should people go to follow you besides coming here? What is the address of this place?
388 Porter Ave. You can't miss it if you drive down Porter. It's got a huge pizza slice on the side of the building. We don't do slices. We got somebody coming in.
And we got a customer. So we'll put all the links in the show notes. Take a look, and thanks for watching and listening. Bye.
See ya.
Yay, we did it.
If you enjoyed this episode, there's a few things you can do to really help your girl out. Please subscribe, rate the podcast, give me a little review. All those things really do help me in a lot of ways. And this year, I'm really trying to expand my reach. I'm trying to get this podcast in front of more people who might need it. My people, our people. So let's keep growing this beautiful community of nice people who are just trying to be their best selves. So if you know someone who might like it, please send them the link, share it in your stories, tag us, which is another thing you can do, actually. If you're not already, please follow us on Instagram at Mostly All Figured Out. I've actually been very good about posting new episodes every Friday, so you can see who is up. You can get some little previews, sneak previews with some sound bites that we post throughout the week. And it really helps, again, in expanding our reach a little bit and getting us out there in front of more people. So thank you for doing that. Thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting. Love ya.